In terms of serious uploads, it's one of those things where I have ideas and I have the necessary material to edit the video, but I had to take time doing something else. I'll admit I've been distracted by watching and playing Pokemon, but I'm not procrastinating. Because when I'm not doing that, I've been learning to draw digitally. Well, it's more like learning because I'm just sort of doodling and see what sticks. The video you're seeing now is basically a sequel to this one. Please watch as I pursue my future. A big thank you from the help I received from Eyebrow Scar of the Garcast, who taught me to use a Wacom drawing pad and Clip Studio Paint. It took me a while to get used to drawing with the pad, as it's not a two-in-one thing, it's just a square slab. You draw on this surface and then it appears on the monitor. There's originally a learning curve which has this disconnecting feeling between seeing your drawings appear this way. Some people go for the expensive pads which has a monitor and you can draw on it. Also, this little thing was only $50. Plus, the Wacom comes with a 6-month free trial for Clip Studio Paint. I'm not sure how much they charge per month, but it's likely worth it. I don't claim to be a great artiste, but I'm having a good time with this. But it wasn't always that way. This is the first thing I drew. And it's awful. I was feeling frustrated because I couldn't get used to this format, but then I thought about all of the colors I could play with and I wouldn't be wasting any more paper. I don't have to buy more art supplies or run out of ink. I eventually got better. I spent hours working on these 8 illustrations till way past my bedtime, and now my fingers hurt. Even though I was getting mad at myself at times, I was also happy. Not in a masochist way, but I was feeling content that I finally wanted to keep on drawing. I hope this remains as a consistent trait. Here's some artist commentary on the rough sketches, and I'll show you the process of the almost final product. I've done 8 characters, but only one of them is about 99% done. More on the finished one later. A lot of quotation marks today. Getting back to the very first sketch I ever did, this digital illustration was based on these drawings. The goal was to recreate the character in a full body sketch and experiment with the color palette. At the time, I wasn't intending to draw the face. I wanted to see how the roster would look together. Here's an old paper example of my intent. But as I got used to using the Wacom, I started to incorporate facial features in the later drawings. There's a couple of other pictures I did, but let me skip them for now, because the next one for this character turned out worse.
Boo! You stink!
At this point, I made other sketches and I wanted to redo this first one. Unfortunately, the design completely missed the mark. The simple one better conveyed the overall shape of the character, who I'll call S for now. I'm gonna leave S alone for a bit, I'll get back to her. I'm gonna rewind to the early stuff in the order I think I remember. The next ones were the twins, who were literally just a copy and paste. I'm gonna have to redesign them from scratch. These are the first ones I ever colored. Here, I had problems with the outline as I drew everything in black, and lines get lost when the character wears a black suit. So I crappily did some white outlines, and I think I'm gonna invert the colors. I also need to recolor the feather on their hats because you won't be able to see it. As stated earlier, they need to be completely redesigned. All I had on them were these doodles, but even then I never done a good full body. I also want to make the twins look more different. If you're wondering why they're wearing a hat and trench coat, they were hitmen for hire who are on a temporary truce with the good guys. Maybe they'll backstab the heroes. I have a dual name for them, but I rather state it when they look better. I almost have names and personality arcs for most of them. I guess I should clarify that I want to make a post-apocalyptic comic. Gee, I wonder why I'd go that route. I guess I feel worried that someone will rob these ideas or creative designs I have. Of course, what I've showed thus far doesn't even look good to steal. I'll get to the better ones. Right now. Here's one of the heroes whose body type changed. I actually don't have a good name for this young woman. She was called Rampart at one point, but I don't think it's gonna stick. Her superhero name is supposed to be electric themed, but according to this old head portrait, her name already belongs to someone else. And the lightning powers aren't colored black anymore. I haven't even figured out her personality yet, to be honest. I think she'll be one of the nicer ones and a tad silly, maybe? All I know for sure is she had some confidence issues that led to self-injury. I haven't wrote the scene where she shows up, and even then she's a victim at that point. I guess it's a bit of a blog now for my viewing pleasure when I brainstorm. Anyways, I never drew a body to go with his face, interpret that as you will. So she finally had one in 2022. Initially, her physique was very wide hip with an hourglass figure, but I also wanted to portray something that revolved around electricity, which is her power. Somewhere along the way, she ended up in a long sleeve kimono, or half a kimono? Actually, more like just the sleeves of a kimono, because this is the follow-up. Rampart's working title figure completely changed. The hips are now gone in favor of curvaceous calves. In these rough stages, you can see the process of asymmetry. So let me quickly jump to the latest sketch I did of Rampart, which is a bit more symmetrical. Also, she's now adorned in green. I decided on the color green because there is a phenomenon known as green lightning, and I thought that color would stand out more than the typical yellow. Although Static's colors are actually purple and white, or sometimes blue and white. Lightning has been documented to appear in different colors, but I have another purpose for the green. And it's sort of a Sentai color gimmick that I'm going for in this team of 6. I want them all to have individual colors. I was experimenting with the heels because I really wanted to incorporate lightning bolts into the design. Lightning was also in my head because I was watching Pokemon Sun and Moon at the time, and that anime featured Z crystals. Then I realized lightning bolts tend to look like Z's or N's, at least in the stylized format. So I added bolts in places such as the sleeve edges, which are the ones I'm proud of. But where are her hands? They're in there. I thought it'd be fun if I could have a character whose arm stuck out like a praying mantis. But the long sleeve thing has been done before. Just not like this. That's just me being creative. The same can be said for the lightning bolt heels, but I don't know if you can actually walk in them. I have no idea if the feet will suffer by wearing these things, but it's outrageous fiction, so I'll just leave it be because I like the way they look. I remember struggling to make them both at the same level and symmetrical, but that was the closest I could get without copying and mirroring. On to the next character. Continuing the hand thing, or lack of things, this next sketch originally was supposed to look like this. But then, imagination hit me, even though it's completely ridiculous to do this. She's not finished, and I'm not sure I'm fond of her arm decorations, but the hands I like, and her torso needs a better costume that suits the witch gimmick. There is an uncolored drawing, but I'm going straight into the color for V. And here she is. She's almost done. I'm not satisfied with her arm design, which is why her left arm is still being worked on. If you're asking, where's her legs? My response to you is, she doesn't have any. Why? Not because I didn't draw them, but because I think she looks better without them. This is one of those spur-of-the-moment ideas where I did not plan her to look like that. I intended her to have legs, maybe wearing cross-hatching lingerie or a spiderweb design. But then, I imagined her floating in mid-air, which adds to the spooky witch gimmick. She's like a witch ghost now. If only I could figure out how to design her arms and torso. Hands I'm totally okay with. Hat seems fine, I have purposes for that zipper on the tip. Personality? Originally she was gonna be very sultry and violent, but now I'm thinking a bit comical with the dark side. She uses humor to cover up her insecurities, maybe. Since she's a witch, I need to establish her culture to make her a bit foreign from the rest of the good guys, such as finding beauty in disgusting looking creatures. I do know that her hands are actually a curse that's devouring her, and she needs to get her real hands back. I plan tragedy to be part of her story while finding a happier resolution by the ending. Maybe she'll get legs by then. This next one is water theme, and like before, I'm just gonna show the color version. I think I got carried away with her design. The concept was to make the womanliest character ever. She'll be called T for now. T is sort of a wish fulfillment type of design. I was trying to envision strength, or what would be the hottest thing I can think of that carries that womanly flair. This is by far the most Japanese influenced design because of the Bancho and Sukeban archetypes. So I combined them into one heroic entity. Here we have a character who's not just womanly, hot-blooded, encouraging, but also nurturing, empathetic, and a bit vulnerable. It's very self-explanatory and fits the tropes of shonen leads or even maybe older shoujo leads. So I made up a word that describes her. I don't know how copyright or trademark works, but like the person who coined the term toyetic, Here's my word and my design. And that word is a combination of Sukeban and Bancho, being the Sukebancho. It's still in the rough stages, but I think it's so outrageous that I like it. Or maybe it looks stupid to you, I don't know. Sometimes I think she looks more like a super robot. This is a character that I absolutely know what I want to do with her. She's my favorite one. But I ended up spending more time on these other sketches. I don't have any more commentary for the Sukebancho other than I need to adjust the lines and coloring. So going back to the very first illustration, once I did all of these, I tried going back to the first one and failed miserably. This is basically the main character and I can't be messing her up, but thankfully the third time was the charm. Ah, that's so much better, but not complete. This is a sketch that made me want to draw the faces and fully do the hands. The wardrobe is so close to being the final product that I might as well make these color tests the actual design. The plan was to see how they look together, but during that course I ended up making some creative decisions. No legs? That's crazy. You can't have a main character without legs. Lightning bolt sleeves, big pointy shoulders. What's with the hair? What are you thinking? I realize how ridiculous some of these things look and I wouldn't have it any other way. I have 2 sketches left. Coincidentally, I'm still working on the legs on one of them. I haven't figured out a good design for the pants. But I did manage to make a sneaker. This one I had to trace my old pencil drawing and come up with a good uniform design. I experimented with the shirt colors and stuck on white. I hope the skin tone looks good. So far my biggest color challenge has been finding the right shade of brown or beige for the usage of skin tone. She's also the main protagonist of a different show who's going to be doing a lot of growing up as the series goes from toyetic space adventures to cosmic horror, which is also filled with sorrow. I was actually scaring myself with how far I took death within this series. If I ever draw to that point, I need to emotionally prepare myself. Meanwhile, her best friend is almost 100% done, and I admit her personality is probably the same as the aforementioned Sukebancho. And you can tell by looking at her face, and she's blue too. Here's the last picture of the video, and she's so close of being done. I'm very proud of this shark gun, but looking back, her right hand may be a little too small when compared to her left hand. But I like the nails, and the coloring turned out great. The other day I thought about a gun holster, so I guess I need to draw that. So Elle here is very nurturing towards children, but has a serious short fuse. She also has a regret which has been affecting her aim. Her right hand is constantly shaking, so she can't shoot precisely. This is a small arc for her as she needs to move on and get past the trauma, that way she can learn to connect with other people. I hope you all stay for the entire thing. Maybe next time I'll show the male characters, or I need to draw them first actually. Or better yet, make an actual chapter or scene. Thank you for watching, and thanks again to Eyebrow Scar for recommending these products. My name is Alex, and thank you for watching my channel, The Anime Hero.